Let's start tonight in the People's Republic of Victoriastan, where state and local government decisions would cause North Korean officials to blush. Take, for instance, the City of Yarra Council. They're prevented by law from raising rates more than 2.75% per year. Now, that cap was legislated by the government to stop greedy councils from charging a fortune for cleaning streets and clearing rubbish. But the Greens at the Yarra Council have found a way to get around that cap. They've introduced a special waste levy, which they claim is not part of general rates and therefore not subject to the cap, because it's a levy. You see how that works? In the upcoming budget, they will increase the $115 levy by 30%. And they claim the levy will help to cover the cost of a fourth bin. Soon there'll be more bins in the city of Yarra than people. They've got a red bin for rubbish, a yellow bin for recycling, a purple bin for glass, and now they'll have a lime green bin for organic waste. Oh. I guess if you vote Green, then you probably understand all of these things. But this is a council that spends most of its time on woke extracurricular activities. Just in the last few months, they've initiated a report on how they can get rid of gas throughout the city. They have announced new rainbow crossings and an intersex inclusion progress pride flag. They've initiated a report on how they can get big vehicles out of the city. And of course, the Yarra Council was one of the first in the country to proclaim a climate crisis. So, Liz, these levies, are they about organic waste or are they about paying for more woke waste?
I think definitely more woke waste. I don't even know that these things go where they promise to go. We all know that we have way too much recycling nowadays for the very few recycling plants in our nation to actually process. But hey, if it makes you feel good, keep it up. But what's insane about this is that they have an election in October, the Yarra Council. So you'd think hiking up this thing that they themselves have created, the ratepayers didn't ask for it, hiking it up by 30% in an election year would just be something they weren't game to do.
But I'm glad you raised that, Liz, because an independent councillor on the City of Yarra, Stephen Jolly, actually raised that question. And his quote runs thus: "What politician anywhere in the world acts like an idiot before an election?" Councillor, you have your answer. These people, it's quite weird, actually. So it's kind of like they've got the first half of being a normal government or a normal politician, which is to cover stuff up and try to bleed your constituents dry with as much money as you can possibly get so you can spend it on your woke crap. But they haven't got the kind of political smarts bit right. So they've got all the sort of, dodginess and sleight of hand and, mismanagement and rorting down pat, but they haven't quite got the electoral savvy bit down pat. Although chances are that people in this electorate will vote for them anyway, because this electorate is greener than a green-lidded, green waste rubbish bin. They are so green. I mean, this is an electorate where the Labor Party is seen as, evil right-wing, capitalist monsters.
There's another great quote from Councillor Jolly I read today, because the Yarra Council are currently fighting with the state government over whose job it is to clean the streets.
Yes.
And Councillor Jolly reckons, and I quote, "The streets in Zimbabwe get cleaned more often than the streets of Yarra."
Well, I
would wager, as someone who once covered a story where Leichhardt Council, when it was run by the Greens, was sending money over to East Timor, I dare say the streets of Zimbabwe probably get more City of Yarra funding than the streets of the City of Yarra. But it raises another interesting point, because they're saying, well, is this money really going to this new bin that they say they're going to? It doesn't matter, because if they were going to get this new bin and pay for it out of council revenue, and now they don't have to use that because they're imposing this new waste levy, it means they can use that other money for whatever they want. So it's still, even if this money that they're raising goes on this new bin, and honestly, how many new bins do you actually need? It's still effectively dudding the ratepayers, because it means that they get to spend whatever else they save from this on whatever they feel like, which you can guarantee, being a Greens one thing, will be absolutely idiotic.
And Liz, it's not just the City of Yarra. There was a report in the Herald Sun a couple of weeks ago saying that the 79 councils right throughout Melbourne have found ways around this rate rise cap to gouge $200 million out of citizens with all these special levies, which of course don't count under the cap, according to their...
So the state makes these caps and the councils are like, that's okay, we'll just cook the books.